Hello everyone, my name is Jai. Welcome to my channel. I'm back with one of my favorites, Casual Geographic. And this is You Have No Idea How Little Giraffes Are. And I love giraffes. They're one of my favorite animals. Probably my top animal, but giraffes are very fascinating. And I wanted to feed them when I went to visit the Atlanta Zoo. And I could, but next time we will. And yeah, giraffes.
Oh, you shouldn't have clicked on this video, because now you're going to find out what giraffes sound like. You went your whole life thinking they don't make a sound, but you bet giraffe they do. We used to think giraffes were like the G in lasagna or post-2011 Osama, dead silent, and scientists swore that an animal with that neck situation would be physically incapable of generating enough airflow to say anything audible. Moral of the story? Sometimes you gotta mind the business that pays you, and it wasn't until someone was in the business of paying researchers to mind the giraffes that they heard the humming of the Colors from the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack. Over the course of 8 years, they recorded nearly 1,000 hours of audio of giraffes in zoos. They found that giraffes will hum to each other in the dead of night. Although if they would have listened to the locals, they would have found out soon. Because over 100 residents in Pangton complained of a creepy droning sound coming from the zoo's giraffe house. Sounds that folks were claiming were making them physically sick, to the point where they made a petition to incite an investigation, and the zoo both declined the comment, but also said it wasn't a giraffe, but also said their lawyers would be looking into it. Gee, I thought you said no comment. So you know this study must have been vindicated. As for the zarafa, we now know what the giraffes say, but we still don't know why. It could be how giraffes keep track of each other at night. Maybe it's how a beast with a trachea to LeBron's long snores. Maybe it's a demonic giraffe ritual. Or maybe it's like birds, where to us, there's no meaning, but to them, the intention's R-rated. And that is only the surface of how weird this walking didgeridoo is. You have no idea! Insane giraffes are as a concept. Like you might not realize, the closest you can get to Jeff Goldblum's wet dream is by rage baiting the tallest animal alive. That'll earn you a one-way ticket to Jurassic Park. Now, ignoring whatever they did to get Jeffrey that active, one of the consequences of being the tallest is despite a motivated giraffe nearly breaking 40 miles per hour, they're sentenced to life of running the way we do in dreams. They could be running from certain death, but damn it, they're gonna look majestic doing it. To be fair, if you make a giraffe do all that, I'm on his side. You deserve it. Another consequence is this video right here. This video went viral because it was the first time many realized that an animal with a neck longer than a prohibition has to tank inclement weather right to the face. Fun fact, giraffes don't use slurs. But the day we learn how to ask one how's the weather up there in Giraffes, they'll start. But nature didn't completely leave them out to dry. I mean, obviously. Nah, but they do have a trick in plain sight. Those iconic giraffe patches also have a network of blood vessels. It's like a built-in thermostat where they can expand to release warmth to stay cool during the heat of day, but can also constrict and hold heat in times like when they have to raw dog a rainstorm. Also, the nature of being the tallest means it's actually more dangerous for them to lay down in the rain than just stand up to the storm. Now, the chances a giraffe gets struck by lightning are very, very low. They're still 30 times more likely to get touched by Thor than a human. Now, the chances they get electrocuted on power lines is slightly higher. To be fair, that's human intervention and poor design. That's not their fault. Especially because having a neck and legs longer than a Monday in August already comes with problems nothing else can relate to. Giraffes have one hell of a childhood, and it starts with them getting dropped 6 feet flat on their face. Literally airdropped into existence on their heads, which once again, a mother laying down to give birth would be the easiest lick of a lion's life. Also, as babies, we had doctors to slap us into breathing. Giraffes get the ground. To their credit, at 6 feet, 220 pounds, the Zarafa can find its feet in only 30 minutes. But they get reintroduced to the ground several times in the process. And in only a few hours, the baby giraffe can run and stride with its mother, which isn't a luxury, because there are many things to run away from as a newborn giraffe calf, and more than half will get snatched by actual predators. Luckily, the mother will defend them to the death, and a kick from over 2,000 pounds of motivated motherhood will leave a lion lying on the ground permanently. They have sharp hooves the size of dinner plates. That's instant attitude adjustment to any predator. Ooh, that's a concussion. And of course, having legs higher than student loans gives them more rings than most animals are ready for. It just sucks when mama ends up being the baby's biggest hop. When I said the mother defends them to the death, sometimes she's the one delivering. I have seen too many mothers trying to scare off lions only to end up river dancing on their child. Like the operation was a success, but the patient died. It takes 14 months for a mother giraffe to birth a calf, and only 0.2 seconds to accidentally delete her dependent. I'm not dumb to how hard piloting 6-foot flesh stilts must be, but I've seen quadruple amputees shoot with more accuracy than a giraffe using her own legs. And that's assuming it's an accident. This was straight up intentional. And I still don't know why she did that. Things don't get much easier in zoos either, as captive giraffes have accidentally stepped and sat on their own children. So fatal friendly fires are just another consequence of being tall. Another is that giraffes are one of the few mammals that can't swim. They play river roulette every time they cross one. You just know his heart drops straight to his stomach. And that ain't nothing. That's like a 2-story drop. At this point, it really feels like being tall is more trouble than it's worth, to the point where you gotta ask, why are they so tall in the first place? The answer might seem pretty obvious, but like the giraffe, it's more controversial and more complicated than you think. The easy answer is to say that giraffes evolved long necks to reach foliage that no other herbivore could. While that might be true, I do want to clear something up. Evolution is a lot of things, including a word I don't use anymore because I respect women, but what it's not is intentional. Master Oogway might have been a creationist. Evolution is a lot of accidents, actually. Basically, it's a random mutation, like a slightly longer neck, that gave an individual an edge. With long necks seeing better reproductive success, that random mutation would have a much better chance of getting passed on. After millions, and I do mean millions of years of natural selection, long necks would become the dominant and eventually the only giraffe build. Just a series of events creating something, not perfect, but just good enough to keep the wheel rolling. The Barbarossa literally lobotomizes itself with its own density, but as long as that happens after they have kids, evolution will remain Ray Charles. But with giraffes, it seems straightforward, so much that when you learned about natural selection in school, the giraffe was probably the easiest example. Now what if I told you we still can't agree on how the giraffe got this way? Every theory seems to have at least one good counter. It's easy to believe that the tallest giraffe would have a nutritional advantage. Except the 2010 study showed that in a drought, it was actually the tallest and largest giraffes that died the most. Also, some argue that if being tall was such a buff, more herbivores would have evolved the same way. Yet the Giraffes seems to be the only one that went down the all-height pipeline. You know, we don't talk about this enough, and we really should. This is 100% responsible for our cryptid myth, too. Others say it's the built-in temperature setting that was the real driving force. A popular theory is that animals live by the 3 F's, and the long necks, if not for food, must be for, except if it was for female validation, you'd expect the males to have disproportionately longer necks. But even though the males are physically bigger, it's actually the females that have more proportionally impressive necks, which actually led to another theory that the neck work was actually to support the female's high metabolic demands while pregnant. There's even a theory that the giraffe's neck wasn't even the main feature, but they evolved long legs first, and the long neck came after so the giraffe could still reach water. Maybe not the strongest theory, but for sure the funniest. But to me, there's likely no one thing, more like a combination of things driving the giraffe to be what it is now. Except I did leave one thing out, because even with feeding and forking, there's a third F word that's just as important. In 1996, a long-dead relative of the giraffe was discovered in China. Discocarexesha looks like the modern version's reflection in a funhouse. Scientists say the thick neck and even thicker skull were used to violently headbutt each other. And scientists studying its anatomy say that not only would this half a giraffe have headbutted harder than any other animal, including dinosaurs, but being built like a sledgehammer and behaving like one is proof that the giraffe's neck was more about fighting than food. And while I'm still sure it was a combination of different pressures, I can see it being for fighting. You've definitely seen giraffes fight like 2 inflatable car salesmen in a turf loop. As goofy as it is, they do damage. That's exactly what those are for. Those are ossicones, not horns, but ossified cartilage. Basically, if your ears got bricked up no more. Those ossicones are great for bludgeoning their opponents into oblivion. They're also good for butting a female in the bladder to make her pee so he can taste test it and assess her availability. Don't let the lower frame rate fool you. Those ossicones genuinely tear each other up. That was the winner, by the way. Now the difference is, animals with antlers shed them once a year. That's not blood, that's moose velvet. Giraffes don't. Not just because the cones are fused to their Jurassic skull, but also giraffes breed all year round. Which means they gotta be ready for smoke all year round. Like, you don't even know, Giraffe Fight Club genuinely goes crazy. Like, they have rules. First one, I've already broken. So we'll just talk about the others. Giraffe fights are brutal as hell. It's basically boxing mixed with Mortal Kombat. Watch 2 bulls trade blows. Eventually, you'll see a giraffe feint, counter, and uppercut. Their fighting style even evolves as they mature. Younger males usually swing for the biggest target, being the ribs or the rump, but older, seasoned bulls often chip away at their matchup by targeting the legs. Not only because weakening the legs is the fastest way to fell a tower, but a giraffe that gets his leg broken is immediately disqualified from the gene pool. That's a career-ending injury for Buddy. Look at it this way. There's a lion pride that's not going to believe their luck. Giraffe fates are so devastating that they rarely even get to that point. In fact, most times, giraffes are weirdly ethical fighters, and I'm so glad I get to talk about that now. Giraffes are like baseball players, where they have a preference between swinging their neck to the left or the right. And what's crazier is, they'll actually respect each other's preference. In sparring matches, they'll line up head to tail if both fighters have the same preference. So like if two southpaws line up head to tail, both parties get to practice swinging to the left. With the same logic, if one's a southpaw and the other's orthodox, then they'll line up head to head with the right favoring fighter on the left. And if during a spar match, one giraffe swings too hard and his momentum puts him out of position, both sides will stop, realign themselves, and briefly start again. That is mighty gentlemanly. It's a mutual respect you wouldn't expect from a camel left. That's not the only point in the giraffe's code. Giraffes also believe in weight classes. Researchers watching quickly realized that males will go out of their way to fight opponents as close to the same size as them, and will reject matches with males noticeably smaller. Instead of an easy win, sparring giraffes will go for the fair fight because skill-based matchmaking is not a human concept. Giraffes are even known to follow the bar fight phenomenon, where if one pair starts sparring, that seems to get all the other giraffes to start running, and rarely do you see any giraffe attempting to cheat. Arguably, the only questionable action is older bulls will sometimes interfere with and break up fights between younger ones. Some say it's the old heads playing referee. I think it's straight hating. I'm not even kidding. Older bulls will meddle in fights, and I'm sure it's to keep any one male from getting too comfortable and confident, because a cocky male is a problem for everyone. But yeah, that neck and those cones are good for more than just drinking from the golden fountain. And while males using maximum effort and straight blood sport, like bro is not waiting on a bell, he's waiting for him to stop breathing. For the most part, males keep it peaceful. Some say a little too peaceful. There's another interesting fact about giraffes. Before y'all get mad at me, all I ask is that y'all hear me out. Because male giraffes have a special way of making up after a fight. That has caused controversy in ways I'm sure the giraffes did not see coming. Giraffe sparring matches have been known to end with the two bulls caressing each other's necks and lightly nudging each other. It's believed it's how two males reinforce their bond and standing in the overall group. It's really no different from guys dapping each other up after a pickup basketball game. Basically, I'm good. You good? We good. That's what I thought. Until his 4-foot pink lightsaber came out and he tried to mount the other. And it's that kind of behavior that has people saying this portrait mode stretching the neck unicorn is one of the gayest animals out there. Not to rub to it. Apparently, enough of these necking competitions come to a conclusion with at least one of the males doing so as well. Sometimes to completion. Sometimes they arrive long after they show up. There was a study in Tanzania on the social life of the giraffe, and in over 3,200 hours of observation, the team witnessed 17 instances of male-on-male mountings. The number of male-on-female, 1. So not only did 133 days of study amount to witnessing a traditional giraffe couple up once, the math means 94% of the explicit long-neck liaisons were between two males. That's how giraffes became the mascot of Brokeback Mountain. And you've had politicians get genuinely heated over the stretch neck sexuality. So are giraffes gay? Listen, I'm going to give my non-expert online opinion and pray y'all don't kill me. A lot of animals will mount to flex dominance or to bond. Dogs do it, bison do it. Go to any locker room and you might see the football team doing it, and they say it's not gay. Male lions might be the most famous for doing it, but it's more social than sexual. Giraffe male mounting is likely for dominance, and that 94% is probably more about giraffes being rare to witness actually mating in the first place than 90% of giraffes just swinging the other way. I do think it's a little bit of putting human traits on an animal with no concept of gay. Like you gotta remember, we are the only species on Earth that goes out of its way to say pause. Giraffe don't give a fuck. Well, they might give one. Jokes aside, male giraffes can mount each other without it being sensually explicit. Same way they can taste a female's bladder assets without, being into that. But with a giraffe, they might do gay shit, but that don't mean she's gay. That's on being an ally. But, like I said, the kosher camel is so much weirder than you think. That's not a joke. Giraffes are kosher, biblically accurate. That giraffe on that. How about the fact that we only just found out that there are actually 4 species of giraffes, and we only know that because a conservation group decided to test their DNA for funsies, and that test showed that the northern, southern, reticulated, and Maasai giraffes were all completely different species. In total, there are 7 subspecies of the giraffe. Some are endangered, some are critically endangered. See, now, you done took the giraffes for granted. I bet they didn't even tell you that some are silently going extinct. Experts literally call it a silent extinction because while you weren't paying attention, the Kordofan giraffe is silently getting canceled, and the new being about to be in past tense, which would be a shame because giraffes are like nothing on Earth. Which is another fact. Giraffes have the strangest cousins. The pronghorn antelope is actually more of a giraffe. The okapi was nature's first day use of Microsoft Paint, and it's basically the giraffe in the jungle. They're just too weird to not get a video of their own. So that's going to do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, touch grass, hug your father. If you're like me and giraffes dropping is your newest concern, I'm going to be donating to the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. Link in the description if you'd like to as well. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.
Nha. Ui, สงสารมัน
Give me a kiss, baby. Give me a kiss. Oh, you think that's a long neck? What kind of giraffe are you? Yeah, giraffes don't know what gay is or anything. It's like if I like it, I'm getting me some. Yeah. That was Casual Geographic. We have no idea how giraffes are. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tell you guys what you think. Leave any suggestions down below. What you want me to react to. Till next time, you guys. Stay grateful. Stay blessed. Peace.